Shalom, Patreon. Tom Stamey asks about raw land and infrastructure and incremental stage development on a budget. Well, first let's talk about raw land versus land that's already got something on it. I've addressed these questions repeatedly in other videos, but whatever. It's the same common themes. It's the same life experiences. Maybe slightly different words, but it is what it is. I have nothing against buying a piece of land that already has a house on it. Maybe it's an old piece of crap trailer. Okay. The utilities are already there. There's some kind of water, there's some kind of sewer, there's some kind of electric, generally speaking. That saves you a boatload of money. A boatload of money. Raw land is cheap because there's nothing on it except rocks or trees or ponds or critters or whatever. A major portion of the price of developed land or pre-developed land is the utilities infrastructure. So if you can find a piece of land that has a junk house on it, hey, if the well still works and the power lines running into the property still work and their septic system's still good, okay, huge step forward. Not just dollar-wise, but also speed to implementation. How do we get from where we are to where we need to be in the fewest possible steps? So consider that. Not saying you have to do that, but consider it. Man, my mouth is dry. Okay, next. So you bought some raw land. Now what do I do? The first thing you need is access to your land. If you can't get in and out, you're gonna have a really hard time working on it. And I'm assuming in this case that you are transitioning to this piece of land, that you're not living on there full time. That would vary the order somewhat for me, but not that much. If you are moving on there full time, go with it. Adapt. Take this information and run with it. Otherwise, if you're transitioning to the land over time, the first thing you need is access. You need to be able to get onto that piece of land when you want to get onto it. If you are going to, move in a tiny home, okay, cool, you need a road, you need a driveway. Or, hey, we should build a barn. Awesome. Where do you want it? Oh, over there in that clearing. Can you get to there from here? No. We need to clear trees and pull stumps and grade the dirt and drop the gravel and compact and all these things, right? So you need access first, and it's often overlooked. And alongside with access, you should seriously think about water runoff, stormwater drains, water mitigation, the whole nine. Where's your water going? You can make it work for you if you have a stock tank / pond, or make a stock tank / pond. Divert the water into it so it stays full, and then have an overflow out to another creek or a drainage ditch or whatever. If you're doing dirt work, do the dirt work. So yeah, you need access, and while you're playing in the dirt, you should think about, where am I going to send my stormwater when it rains? That's a big deal. Next after that, really depends on your situation, whether you're living there or transitioning to the property. But I really think you need shelter. Where are you going to live? Because you can buy water at DG, you can collect rainwater, you can scavenge water out of your pond or your creek or your stream or whatever, right? You can come up with options there. And same thing with food. You can plant a garden, whether you live in a tiny home or a wall tent or, you know, a 12,000 square foot timber framed and fieldstone house, your little chalet that you built out in the middle of nowhere. But you need a place to lay your head. You need a base of operations for all the other things that you need to do. You need some modicum of civility at the end of the day, that there's something. There's some place you can go to get out of the sun, get out of the wind, get out of the rain, get out of the snow, kind of gather yourself to yourself and have a moment of peace. You need something, whatever that is. And you're gonna know that way better than I am, because if you have 12 kids and 4 wives, you need a lot more square footage than if you live by yourself. Okay? So whatever your particular needs are, you need to figure out what kind of shelter do I need. And it need not be initially extravagant or at all extravagant. I am blessed to fellowship with people who live in shed homes and or have lived in little tiny $300 trailer. Interrupted by a phone call. Where were we? Okay. You need shelter, right? Access, then shelter. The next after that is probably water. And you can drill a well, and I don't know where you are. I have no details other than, hey, give me some basic outlines here, Bear. So that's the best I can give you is basic outlines. I think drilling a well is a really good option. The problem is it costs a ton of money up front to do it. So I think what you should probably do to get established on your land is look into rainwater collection first, so that you're gathering rain when it rains. And hopefully for you, it's off. My wife cannot stop calling me while I'm trying to shoot this video. My goodness. It's as if we're married or something. Rainwater collection. Get some rainwater collection. And then if you have, you know, and people are like, how much does a well cost, Bear? How much does a car cost? Is it a 1982 Pooh Brown Toyota Tercel? Because that's $800. Or is it a brand new Maserati? Because that's not $800. Short answer, it depends. The size, the diameter of the bore, how far down you go cased versus uncased, the depth that you need to go to hit good water, and the, come on, brain. Long and short, it depends. So it could be $5,000, it could be $50,000 for a well. Yes, that much in some places. So if you have $5,000 to $50,000 to throw at a well now, go for it. And I think it's only a matter of time before you drill a well. You should drill a well. But I think getting rainwater up first is a really good idea. Get a little bit of shelter going and a little bit of rainwater going, and you're in a pretty good position, right? Then from there, man, raw land to do what? To be self-proficient through homesteading. I mean, raw land to homestead on is entirely different than raw land to develop a timber asset on, or to grow orchard on, or to farm on, or to whatever. So incremental development of raw land on a budget. I'm guessing that we're talking about self-sufficient homesteading here, because we talk about this quite a bit at this channel. So if you got a house and you got water, food right now for you is coming from the grocery store, like the end. You may consider getting a propane refrigerator. You may consider putting up a small solar array or a large solar array. and having a way to keep food cool, whether that's an ice chest with ice in it or a fridge or whatever, or you just eat canned food for a good long while. Some kind of food, some kind of way to prepare the food, an oven, propane stove, whatever. And then produce and procure food. Get your gardens going. Start up with your livestock. Chickens are a great place to start. You can let them free range. All you need to do is build a little coop with a little run on it, and then they have a place to go. And they don't need much. They need to remain dry and out of the wind. And chickens are good. And above freezing. Dry, out of the wind, above freezing, and chickens will do fine. Other than that, like, they're pretty easy. You know, you throw some grain on the ground and they take it from there. So, access first, then shelter, then water, then food, ways to prepare it, ways to store it, ways to procure it. Okay, so now my phone overheated. What is going on? I am not supposed to talk to y'all today, apparently. And I was just at the feed store where some new girl at the feed store had me unpack a flat cart with 16 sacks of feed on it because I might be stealing something laid in between the bags. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? So I did. Yeah. Not a fan of any of that. Shall we continue? You need land, access on the land, access to the land, and shelter, water, food. From there, man, the sky's the limit. You know, building a homestead on a budget, it can be done, but the lower your monthly budget is, the longer it's going to take, because it absolutely does require an investment of capital. And that's okay. If it takes you a while, it takes you a while. They're not exactly easy to spin up overnight either. It takes time to get a homestead up and running, but to a degree, you know, you don't want to spend exorbitant amounts of money. There is a point of diminishing returns, but putting money into your homestead does pay off. I mean, it's, you know, it cost us $1,500 to fence the half-acre pasture in our front yard. $1,500. And we had to save that $1,500. So we saved up for it. We spent $1,500, and then the light at the end of the tunnel, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, we get to build fence. Yay! So I think it's really about understanding what it is that you're trying to do on your property and reverse engineering the best way to go about doing that. And also, really, it's a time versus money equation. If you don't have time and you don't have money, you're not homesteading. If you have money but not time, you can get it done. You're going to be paying other people to homestead for you. If you have time but not money, you can get it done. It's just going to take you a while longer to get everything spun up, get all the things that you're going to need to do the things. But if you don't have time and you don't have money, it's going to be very difficult for you to homestead, you or anybody else to homestead. Because time and money both really just represent energy, right? You don't have any energy to throw at the projects, to throw at the things you're trying to accomplish, you're going to have a really hard time accomplishing something. So as far as getting these things done on a budget, look for deals, and don't bite off more than you can chew. And start small-ish. We had 2 sheep before we had 8 sheep. And we'll have 8 sheep before we have 20 sheep. You know, we had 5 chickens in Texas. I don't know how many dozens we have now. So start with something that you can afford to do and have the time to do and is low impact-ish, and then scale up from there. And then you're using existing infrastructure, you're building on existing infrastructure to offset the cost of growth, of growing the homestead. So, man, this was a really discombobulated video. I don't even know if I'm gonna post it. Yeah. Shalom.